Danny, when we last spoke at the beginning of December, it'd be fair to say, with just the number of injuries that you had on the sheet at the time, you were looking at the Christmas period with a little bit of intrepidation. So the last 6 games, only 2 defeats, 3 wins. Does that mark success in your eyes?
I think, considering the situation and the circumstances, I think we're pleased with the outcome in terms of points. When I first arrived at the club on the 9th of September, we had 1 point. We now sit with 28 points. I think I probably would have given you my right arm there. And then to be in this position, it was always to try to get to January, to try to then help the current group of players to allow us all as a football club to get to where we want to go.
It's one thing getting to January, though, isn't it? It's another thing entirely trying to make the most use of the window and getting fresh faces in to help you out of this predicament. Of
course, that's the challenge. We've got total clarity over the profile of player and the type of characters that we want in the building. We understand what we can do and what we can't do. We're working very hard to try to give ourselves more balance in the group. And a little bit more experience and a little bit more leadership.
You might want to be forthcoming and tell me what players you're looking at. I'm suspecting you're not. But when you talk about you've got clarity of the type of player, what's the core ingredient for a player to fit your type of team?
Well, I think first and foremost, I have to adhere to the values that we have as a football club. Like I said, I've been here over 90 days now, and I start to get a real feel for the DNA of the club. Down to earth, honest, hard-working, humble people are the people that historically do well here. So definitely with those values, good learners, hard workers, with a love and enthusiasm for the game, always works well with Nicky and I. And then obviously they have to have the technical, tactical and physical attributes to fit as well. We would like to try to get to the 4-2-3-1. We know we'd also like to be able to have a contingency of the 4-3-3. Since I've been here, we'll probably only have one senior number 10 in Alex Pritchard, and he's only been available for 2 games, which has made it tough for us. And we've had to adapt as a consequence, which is what you have to do, and you have to be tactically flexible, which we've been able to be, and it's allowed us to pick up some points. But certainly, if we could get to that place, then that would allow us to then start to build and develop and get the group of players on method.
Is it fair to surmise that as well as this group have done, given the obstacles they've overcome in this Christmas period, yesterday's game against Stoke was probably one bridge too far to cross in the end?
Well, yeah, so it was the case. I think for us, whenever we've had the 3 games in the week, the 3rd game we've struggled. That's been pretty obvious in terms of the outcome of the results. To be fair to the group of players, we've probably got 14 senior players, and that's been tough and a real challenge. We've got some really good younger players that have got a huge amount of enthusiasm and are going to hopefully develop into championship players, but they're very early in their careers. So it's been difficult to be able to move the squad around and rotate as much as you would have liked. So we've had to use the same players. When you get 1 or 2 key injuries, then kind of you lose your balance. Yesterday we didn't have Elias Kashunga, and that made it tough for us because we didn't have anyone else that naturally played on the right hand side. So then we ended up having 4 central midfielders across midfield, and kind of quite quickly you could lose your balance, you lose the partnerships and the chemistry that you need to be able to find a good performance. But it's not the players that are playing's fault. There's, if I was a supporter of Huddersfield, there'd be absolutely no blame on the players that are playing. It's been really challenging for them, and they've gone again and put their body on the line for the team and the club time after time. You've only got to take people like Jonathan Hogg, who hadn't trained since before Christmas. Played in the Middlesbrough game with a knock, picked up a an injury in that game as a consequence. Hasn't trained since. Played again yesterday off of nothing, and that's the type of character he is, and he was willing to do that for the team because the team needed him. But that is far from ideal. And what we've got to try to do in this window is put ourselves in a position where we can have a championship squad that has depth, that has competition, that has balance, that allows us to achieve what our primary goal was when we first arrived, which was staying in the division.
There was an incident during that game yesterday which involved a section of the crowd and Stoke's James McLean. I know the club's investigating and looking into it. As the manager, what was your view, or what did you see during the game?
Well, the first I knew about it was when the referee came and spoke to us. Obviously, we're still waiting for the referee's report, as you'll respect. But as a club, and certainly for myself, there is absolutely no place in football or in society for any discrimination of any level. It's always sad when it happens. Football is a brilliant game, a game that I love dearly, and it's horrible when situations like this arise. And unfortunately, I don't think it is just football. I think it is a society issue, and it's something that we all have a responsibility as human beings to tackle together.
And what do you say to the players? Because it's not something you expect to encounter on a football field, is it?
Well, we just make them aware of the situation and aware of the guidelines around it, and also try to help them as human beings as well, and try to educate them as people so that they have an understanding of other people and other races and other religious beliefs. For me, it'd be really boring if everybody was the same. So we, here at Huddersfield, we have lots of different nationalities, lots of different cultures, and it's been great for me to get to understand the different nationalities and the different cultures and the different ways that people think as a consequence of that. And I think if you're open-minded, then you have the opportunity to learn and from other people's cultures and ways of doing things.
And just to clarify, the club's looking into discriminatory chanting, not racist chanting. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah. Let's look ahead to this weekend then, the FA Cup, a competition that certainly at Lincoln you've enjoyed a lot of success in. I imagine that creates quite a dilemma, doesn't it, between trying to look after the squad and the resources you've got and wanting to do well in this competition.
Yes, we love the FA Cup. It's been a great competition from us, from Concord Rangers getting to the first round, which I think was about 8 or 9 fixtures to get there at the time, to Braintree, and played Oxford over 2 games, which was a real challenging games. Oxford were top of League 2 at the time, and then obviously at Lincoln and getting through to the quarter-finals in our first year there. And it's a cup competition that we love. To me, it's the greatest competition in the world, and we're certainly looking forward to the game come Saturday.
As a manager in the cold light of day, though, do you put your top 11 players that you've got out there this weekend, or do you look ahead to Barnsley a week down the line and say, look, I've got a whole raft of injuries, I've just come off a hectic Christmas period, I'm going to have to rest some of these guys?
Well, I think the challenge for us as a group is that, like you've said, there's been a lot of games in a very short space of time, and the games have come thick and fast. We've only got a very small cohort of players to be able to select from. We have got some injuries within the group as well, so we're going to try to pick the best team that we can. But it's a competition that we love. We have the opportunity to go to a Premier League club that are doing very, very well. In recent weeks, we understand exactly how big that challenge is, but it's a game that we're looking forward to. It's it's fresh and different from the league, and like I said, the FA Cup is a brilliant competition, and we'll be doing our very, very best to try to find a way. We're under no illusions at exactly how tough it's going to be off the back of what we've had and the fact we've now got to travel down to the south coast. But we love football, and it's another game, and we're looking forward to it.
But preferably no replay?
Well, we could definitely do without a replay, that is for sure. But we said this at Lincoln when we were trying to get promoted out of the National League. I think we played 67 games that season, so we're used to playing football. And I remember drawing at Ipswich in the third round, and that one going to replay and thinking could have done without that. And then the BBC decided to come and pay us a lot of money to watch the game, and that helps us in terms of being able to get to where we wanted to go. So this is football, and we are privileged to be in it, and we love the FA Cup, and we're looking forward to Saturday.
Thank you.